Okay, welcome everybody. So for those of you who don't know me, I think everyone pretty much knows me. My name's Dr. Ross, and we're going to talk about a topic which is vast. I mean, huge topic, toxicology, or what I call our toxic world. So obviously, everyone knows that there are things that are not good for our body, and come on in. There is a few late people, so when they get here, just try and fit in wherever you can. The one thing that I always, when I'm talking about this topic, because it's the second largest topic in the Maximize Living world behind nutrition. But the big thing that I always try and tell people, and I'll say it a few times tonight, is you can't get too scared. Let's take this time to turn off our phones. So you can't get too scared of all the toxic stuff. We're going to talk a lot about what's not good for your body, what you shouldn't eat, what you shouldn't drink, how your air is not clean, how your water is not clean. I don't want you to freak out and think that you have to live inside a bubble, because you don't. And the reason you don't is that God gave us an incredibly powerful detoxification system internally built. So we've got kidneys, we've got liver, we've got blood, we've got skin that protects us from toxins. It's doing what you can to prevent excessive exposure. Does that make sense? So even though we may have all been exposed to pollution and to bad water and bad food and all that kind of stuff, we still are able to thrive because God already gave us a built-in system. So that's the first thing to remember. If you read some of these authors, I've got a bunch of them there, Kevin Trudeau and so forth, they make it sound like this world is scary, you know, and it is in some ways, but I want you to let you know that the body has that power to overcome. You just have to believe in it and do what you can to prevent excessive toxicity. The second thing is that when you look at toxins and when you're putting things in your body, recognize that there's a way to get it out. So we're going to talk about that. Even if you do everything you can and you try and avoid all the toxins that you can, you're still going to get some in. And especially, we're going to go over the toxic top 10 today, the top 10 things that are toxic that most likely you have all 10 in your house right now. Mm-hmm. And you're going to get some of those inside your body no matter what. But there's ways of getting it out. And so ways of cleaning your body, just like you can clean the external part of your body, you can actually clean the internal part of your body. So we're going to go over those ways today. Now, this is a pretty vast topic and vast subject matter. So I ask if you could, please don't ask questions while we go through. If you have questions, wait till the end and I'd be happy to stay around and answer your questions then. Sound good? So you all have your sheets here. There's two sides. In fact, I only have one side. 10, if I can just borrow yours for a sec. The number 1 and then 2, and then it goes from 10 down. So that kind of confuses some people. Thank you. Here, you can take that one. Thank you. So, yeah, so I count them 10 down. So sometimes you kind of think, well, where's the beginning? The beginning is number 1, introduction. So
10's the worst?
10 is, number 1 is the worst. Number 1 is the most toxic when we go through the top 10. Just like David Letterman, you know, we go through the 10, 9, 8, 7, 1. So the question is, what is a toxin? What is harmful to your body? And that's the first thing that we need to recognize. So a toxin is anything that changes the chemistry of your body in a negative way. So it's not necessarily a poison. A poison is something that is openly detrimental to your body. A toxin can be anything that changes the chemistry of your body. Now, by changing that chemistry, you change the metabolism, you change the mechanism, you change lots of things. Even sometimes it can be a benefit. So for example, you may need a medication, and if you take that medication, it may help you short term, but it's still toxic to your system because you've changed the normal pathways that's going on in your body. So that's the definition of a toxin, is something that changes the pathway. Now, bear in mind that it's not necessarily a poison. A poison is something that is openly detrimental, that causes damage right away. So a poison is something you take in or absorb somehow or breathe in that causes damage the second that it gets in your body. A toxin can cause damage over years of time. Not necessarily instantly, but over years of time. Anyone know what a non-food is?
Plastic.
So there's food. When we talk about food, there's poison, there's food, and then there's non-food. No,
Not meant to eat.
Food fillers.
it has no nutritional value. So you can eat it, and it's found in many foods. You can digest it, but your body can't use it. So it has little or no value to us. All it is kind of like a filler. For example, a good example of that would be soy lecithin, which is kind of a filler. It prevents foods from going bad. It keeps bread soft, that kind of stuff. But your body can't use it once it gets in there. So it just kind of gets moved around. And some of it we get out of our body, some of it we don't. Non-foods are not necessarily toxic. They just gum up the works. But when we talk about detoxing your body or cleansing your body, we also want to remove those non-foods. What I like, I've seen it termed non-food in a lot of ways. It's not necessarily a poison or a toxin, but it's certainly not a food, so it falls in between. And of course, food is anything you can take in your body and you can use nutritionally. Foods can also be detoxing. So God made a great system. He gave us a detox system inside us, but he also gave us foods that are naturally detoxing for our body, or they're cleansing for our body. We're going to go over what those foods are tonight. So let's talk about the toxic top 10. So these are all things that are potentially toxic, and it's important to know the difference between the two, if it's toxic or it's not toxic. So number 10 is plastics. So plastics can be all sorts of things. It can be the little sandwich baggie. It can be the bag of chips that you have. It can be the bottle that you're drinking out of, or the cup that you're drinking out of. And it can be a lot of things. So it's important to know which ones are toxic and which ones aren't toxic. So when you take a plastic bottle, for example, and it can be found on any plastic product, because plastic is, of course, recyclable. And so it has a recyclable logo on it, which has little arrows that go around in a triangle. Has anyone seen these? And it has a number inside the triangle. That corresponds to your number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's really 7 types of plastics out there in circulation. Now, there's more than 7, but 7 encompasses everything else. So the first 6 are categorized, and then 7 sort of says, well, everything else. So number 1 is normally found on liquid bottles. Like if you bought a bottle of water, for example, number 1 will be on there. Number 1 is generally considered safe. However, you never reuse it or reheat it. So here's a perfect example. And this has happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to a lot of you. You take a bottle of water, you drink half of it, then you put it in your car and you go and do something. The car's warm. It warms up the water inside the bottle. And then you come back and you taste it and you go, ugh. Tastes plasticky. Who's had that happen? So the plastic is lynching into the water, and it has dangerous chemicals that cause all sorts of toxic effects on your body. Now, I struggled when I went over this talk initially. I thought, well, I'm going to wow them with all the names and all the BPEs and the IDEs and the all that kind of stuff. It's really not important that you know the specifics. It's just know what is toxic and what is not toxic so that you can make better decisions. If you decide to take it to the next level and really study it more, then I'd be happy to, give you some of that more information. But suffice to say, if you warm up most plastics, even the safe ones, if you warm it up, say you put it in a microwave, or you warm it up in a car, or you boil it, or you have it in a hot car or truck or something, it's going to lynch into the water or into the soda or into the whatever you have in there. And so it's important not to reuse those things.
If you never open it.
Still, if you never opened it but heated it, the water is toxic. Exactly. Here's the problem. You get Safeway, you get Rayleigh's, you get all these companies that are making their own versions of water. In fact, they're cheaper than the Aquafina and the other forms of water. They pretty much all use either 1 or 2 on the plastic. So those are generally considered relatively safe, but if you don't know where that water's gone. So they could have loaded all those bottles of water into a truck and drove through the desert to get to you. And I guarantee you those bottles were not refrigerated. When they get to the store, they shove them into the refrigerator. You get this cold bottle of water, but you just don't know where that's come from. And so that's where, especially the cheaper varieties, they probably have been heated, or if they've left, you don't know how long they've been left there. If you leave it long enough, it's going to leach into the water as well. So leach or leach, I'll say leach. Same thing with milk, bags, anything that has that, you want to be wary if you warm it up. So who's ever warmed up those vegetables in a plastic bag? You put them in the microwave and you say, oh, this is great. It automatically steams them. Yeah, what you're doing is lynching those chemicals into your food. So if you're going to steam something, just take an extra 5 minutes and steam it, on a stove or on something like that. It's much healthier for you, and you don't get the plasticky stuff. Who here likes microwave popcorn? Never again eat microwave popcorn. Microwave popcorn has been shown to be one of the most toxic substances on the inside of that bag. They coat the inside of the bag with plastic so that the butter and all the gunk they put in it doesn't stick to the bag. Now, if you heat it, it still sticks to the bag anyway, because now the plastic is leached out and now it's combining with that. In fact, my son, because we used to do this too. I haven't always been knowing about everything. My son used to lick the bag. Used to actually lick the bag and, forget the popcorn. I just want to lick all the stuff off the bag. All the flavorings. It is absolutely toxic to your system. So any plastics, avoid that. So let's look at the other varieties. So 3 is kind of the most toxic component. That's not generally used with food substances, although it can be the wrap that they put over meats and stuff like that. It is stuff like curtains. They'll make mattress covers and stuff out of that stuff. Very, very toxic. You don't want to use that at all. You want to avoid that as much as you can. Even
Don't eat them.
no, don't eat them, but don't sleep on them. Don't rub up against them. Don't that kind of stuff. So they've actually shown when they take a toxic meter now this is air. They're measuring the air. They go around these curtains and stuff, and there's toxic ions and stuff around the curtains. So they actually leach off the curtains in time. The two forms of toxins, really, there's 4 entries into your body. One is through the air, one is through liquid, and then the last one is through the skin. So it's touching, it is drinking or eating, and it is breathing. So those 3 things.
You're saying don't use curtains.
No. If you use plastic curtains, look to see if they have that number on them. If they don't, I pretty much guarantee this is what they're made of. That type of plastic is very toxic type of plastic. Get new curtains. Simple as that.
And meat wrap, so you gotta watch
Yep.
what you eat. You can't
Right.
buy
That's
meat.
stretchy plastic.
So it's the stretchy plastic thing.
That means you can't have
Saran
meat that comes in that?
Well, if it's brand new, then it's probably not too tainted. Or if you buy organic stuff, a lot of times it'll come wrapped in paper instead of
The
the
white.
plastic stuff. Yeah, so that's better. They use plastic wrap because first of all, meat is, people don't want to know what they're eating, so that's why they don't give you the whole cow. People go, I don't want to eat a cow. I want a steak though. Because they see steak is all nice and cut, and you don't necessarily equate that came from that. And then the second thing they do is they put a see-through plastic wrap over top so it looks better, you can see it. It's not like wrapped in paper where you can't see it. And the wrap is actually toxic. Now the tray is made from number 6 usually.
Yeah.
So it's a styrofoam type tray, which is also toxic, especially if you warm that up. Now, most of the time, those trays have not been warmed up. The meat's put on them, and they're put in a refrigerator or a freezer. But that's something you never ever warm stuff up in a styrofoam tray. Who's ever got takeout and the takeout goes cold, so you put it in the microwave and you heat it up, that's not good. That's one of the most toxic things you can do, is don't warm up plastics.
How about defrosting it? Just sitting on the counter, defrosting meat sitting in that tray.
Yeah, you want to take it out of the tray.
Yeah, take it out.
Wow.
wash it, and
Yeah.
put it on glass.
You put it on glass, put it on something other than that. So,
What about bed
but
covers?
we'll talk about lots of questions afterwards, because otherwise we're not going to get through. So when we talk about styrofoam, just don't use it if you can. Styrofoam cups, styrofoam containers. Styrofoam is toxic, and it doesn't degenerate in nature. So you use a styrofoam thing, if you buy that kind of stuff, it almost doesn't degenerate or biodegrade. So you're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting the environment. The last one, baby bottles and foods. Now this is one of the ironic part is they put they have plasticky bottles and things. Sometimes it's for kids' lunch drinks and things like that, and it's made with a 7 on it. 7 is not good at all. It does leach the BPEs into the water or into the baby food or that kind of stuff, especially baby food when it's that kind that's been sealed, and so it doesn't have to be refrigerated until you open it. So it's a highly preserved type of food. That stuff you do not want to use with your baby. If for any of you who have a baby, or if any of you who know, new moms, tell them to stay well away from that stuff. The baby's nervous system is especially sensitive to toxins. So when you're putting in nervous system toxins into your baby, you're doing even more damage than if you put it into you. So if you have baby food, put it in glass containers. Can anyone tell me the least toxic container to have your water in and that sort of thing?
Glass.
Not glass.
Metal.
It's metal. Yeah, it's steel. So now you'll find lots of water bottles. They're coming out. They're steel water bottles, indestructible, and they don't. Yeah, like that.
Sure they're not lined.
Yeah, you have to make sure they're not lined. Some of them are steel on the outside to make them look sturdy, but then they've got a plastic inner. So this is steel with steel on the inside as well as steel on the outside. So those 7 things, when you are looking at plastics, look at that little logo. And now you know which ones are safe. But the other important thing is, if you're one of those people that likes to reuse their bottle all the time, and I used to do it all the time, I used to fill up my bottle up here, don't do it. Don't reuse your bottle. The bottle, literally, because I do it because I'm cheap, and I openly admit that I'm cheap, but I used to do it because of that. I mean, you can buy those things for like 25 cents a bottle. So just drink the bottle, throw it away, or recycle it. Recycling would be even better. The other thing is, I'm now canceling my service with Alhambra. I don't know if you guys have taken the water there, for one reason. And I'll ask you guys, what do you think that big plastic container, what do you think, what number?
7.
It's, I'll give you a hint, it's not one of the good ones.
Not on here.
1?
Yeah, no. It's 3. So, or no, sorry, it's not 3, it's 5. So, or no, sorry, not 5. Oh no, it's 7. Sorry, what am I talking about? 7. So it is, that big bottle is number 7, which is a toxic form of plastic. And you pull it, you empty it into their cups, which is also plastic, which is number 2, which is actually safe. But you're taking it from an unsafe thing, and I know those bottles are heated, so I kind of went, okay, live and learn. It's one of those things that, I didn't know. I didn't know to look at that before. Use up those bottles, stop using them.
So you just learned this too?
No, I knew that certain plastics were unsafe. I just assumed that it was number 1, which is what most bottles are made of. But it's what most little bottles are made of. The bigger, heavier plastics are made of 7. It's the other form. It's a thicker form so that they can throw it around a bit more. So let's talk about number 9. Who here has teeth with mercury in them?
Probably.
Yeah, if you had cavities done in the 80s, even into the 90s or before, you have mercury fillings or amalgams there. You have that metal, which is a very toxic metal in your system. You probably also have aluminum residues in there. Those things will leach out. Who's ever seen the smoking gun, the smoking tooth rather? Video. So there's a video on YouTube you can look at. They take mercury fillings and they just rub it gently with a pencil eraser, and there's a fluorescent screen behind it, and they can show the mercury residue coming off. And if you chew things, you are getting mercury into your system. So I always recommend, and it's highly recommended, that over time you get those things out and get the new types of fillings which do not have the toxic residue in them. However, if you do get them replaced, make sure you go to a dentist who specializes in that. Because if they just start drilling, you're going to dump a whole lot of mercury into your system. Mercury is probably the most toxic substance that you can take in to your nervous system. So mercury in shots, mercury in teeth, mercury in any form. In fact, if I was to take one of those little thermometers, you know, now they have all these infrared and different thermometers, but if I was to take one of the old style thermometers with mercury in it, and I was to break it and put it into a lake approximately the size of Lake Donner. Now, Lake Donner is not a very big lake, but it's, you know, pretty, you know, it'd be hard to swim it. If I dump it in there, that lake would technically be toxic. That's how little mercury has to be to make a whole area toxic. So, yeah, the fluorescent type bulbs, the little curly Q ones, technically if you break one of those in your home, you're actually supposed to phone the fire department to come and clean it up for you because of the gases in there. Yeah, and of course they always say, oh, it's better for energy usage, but it's, you know, it's not better if it breaks, and they do break. You throw them out and it breaks in the garbage bag and so forth. By the way, garbage bags, trash bags, you know, I have on there Brad bags. It's not Brad, it's bread bags. Those are safe. So the specialist, when you get your teeth redone by a specialist, they have a special hood that sucks the air out. They have a filter there. By the way, one of the most toxic things for a carpet cleaner to do, and they've shown this over and over, is to get a job doing carpet cleaning on in a dentist's office, because they drill the mercury vapors come out, they settle into the carpet, and then when they're carpet cleaning, the vapors coming off, they're breathing in. So, you know, you have to go to a specialist that knows how to get this out. If you're going to do it, please let me know. There's some nutritional advice that I use when someone's going through that procedure. We have them load up on a lot of the antioxidants to make sure that their body is going to be healthy through that procedure. It's well worth doing, I promise you. So number 8 is a big one. We covered it a lot, and I'm going to skip over a little bit, but we covered it a lot in our nutritional talks in the Maximize Living system. Remember, there's 5 systems in the Maximize Living system. Nutrition is one of the big ones there. Food can be toxic, and especially if you eat a lot of man-made foods. Man-made foods meaning God didn't create that. Man created it. He may have created it from God-made foods, but God-made foods came from the ground or was grown naturally and ate its natural, you know, food and all that kind of stuff. Man-made foods are generally found in the middle of a grocery store. They're the stuff that you don't need to refrigerate. They come in cans or they come in bottles, and they can last a long time, and they're full of preservatives and chemicals, and all those kind of things are toxic to your system. So as much as you can, avoid man-made foods. Simple as that. That's the easiest way I can put it. Now, in terms of vegetables and fruits and sort of things, we don't consider genetically modified fruits and vegetables or foods, you know, meats. We don't consider that to be a toxic system, even though I can tell you it's not good for your body, and we just don't know how your body will go over time. But if you're buying fruits and vegetables, guess what? A lot of them have been sprayed. They may have been sprayed with chemicals that help them ripen, like especially the fruits. They may have been sprayed with chemicals or, you know, pesticides or all those kind of things. So it's really important where you buy. If you buy in a farmer's market, you're probably going to have a lot less of that. If you buy in Whole Foods or the Nugget, that sort of thing, you're probably going to get a lot less of that. If you buy organic, you're going to get less of that. But if you don't, you make sure that you wash your fruits and vegetables very thoroughly before you eat them. And even then, you're still going to get some exposure there. So know that that is done regularly in our food supply. Another source is D, hormones, antibiotics, drug residues. These kind of things are in our meats. Because if you're buying commercially grade meats, first of all, those cows, those chickens were not raised naturally with their natural diet. They're given sort of superfood, which is mainly corn sort of super growth. They're often given growth hormone or growth hormone shots so that they get fattened up faster. They're often given antibiotics because the hormones they get kill their immune system. So all of those things are going to be in the meat. You buy the meat, you're going to get it in you. The best way to avoid that is to buy organic. And you buy organic either at, you know, Trader Joe's or you know, organic place that has those meats. Safeway has a lot of the organic meats now. Or you buy them from a farm that does that. For example, my wife and I bought, you know, grass-fed beef fully grass-fed beef that wasn't given all the chemicals, hormones, and the stuff. So rather than get those drug residues in your food, you know that's a cleaner source. Artificial sweeteners. We were just talking about that, a few of you. Artificial sweeteners, there's no good in artificial sweeteners. Aspartame, saccharin, sucralose, Splenda, all these things are toxic to your system. The more you take, the more toxic they are. If you have certain genetic things, they're going to be even more toxic. So one of the videos that I was showing earlier was a video called Sweet Remedy, and it was about all the toxic effects that aspartame, just purely aspartame, can have. The FDA has known about these things for years. They can cause, Sweet Remedy, yeah, was the movie. They can cause MS, they can cause Parkinson's, they can cause neurologic degeneration, they cause migraine headaches. If you are a diet soda fiend, or if you buy, like my mom, she buys Splenda. What is it called? Crystal Light. You know, if you buy any dietary food, it's going to contain one of those toxic chemicals in it. The best thing to do is get off that stuff. It is a drug, it is a chemical, it's not good for you. Stevia is a great solution. I also, if you need sugar, get cane sugar, real sugar, not high fructose corn syrup. So if you're a soda person, limit the amount of soda you're taking in, or if you're going to drink soda, drink it with cane sugar as opposed to high fructose corn syrup. A lot of those other things, saccharin, for example, causes cancer. Sucralose has all sorts of neurologic effects. Just not good for you, no matter how you slice it. It doesn't help you lose weight. So it's toxic for your body, and it's not good in terms of making you lose weight. Like a lot of people say, it's diet drink, right? I'm on a diet. It doesn't help you lose weight. You want to do a dietary program? I'll help you with that. Don't turn to the dietary stuff.
Is Truvia stevia? What is Truvia?
Yeah, it's stevia.
Yeah, Truvia is the name brand for stevia. Excitotoxins are things like MSG, glutamate, anything with artificial color, artificial flavorings. These are highly toxic to your nervous system as well. They do cause nerve degeneration or nerve damage, so avoid them wherever you can. Guess where those things are mostly found? Man-made foods. Highly preserved stuff, stuff that's made to taste like something else, like cherry flavored syrup, banana flavored, whatever. These things don't actually have any bananas or cherries in them. They have artificial chemical flavorings, which are specifically designed to hit your taste buds in a certain way. But they are also what's called excitotoxins, and they are not good for your body. Preservatives, non-fillers, non-food particles, all found in man-made foods. You want to avoid a lot of the food toxicity? Eat God-made foods. Eat them every day. By the way, when we go over detoxing, guess what is great for detoxing your body? God-made foods. God was good. He gave us foods that actually detox our body when we eat them. So vaccines. I do a whole class on vaccines. Suffice to say that vaccines are one of the most powerful toxic components of your body. If you are taking flu shots, if you are a big believer in vaccines, please let me show you the research on it. First of all, I can show you that they do not work. And secondly, I can show you that they are filled with chemicals like formaldehyde, ethylene glycol, mercury. If you got a flu shot this year, I guarantee you your flu shot had mercury in it. They sometimes say, oh, the mercury is taken out. Mercury's in a lot of shots still. So those things, especially when you inject them right into your bloodstream, especially when they do it to kids, it is incredibly toxic. People always ask me, why do you think autism's skyrocketing? Why do you think asthma and allergies, why do you think our kids have more cancer now than they've ever had before? My number one answer, there's a lot of reasons, but my number one answer is because we are vaccinating more than we've ever vaccinated before. And it is highly, highly profitable to the medical system. But it is absolutely toxifying our kids. It is causing those diseases. There is a lot of research showing that. And that's just something, if you know people that have kids that are thinking about vaccinating, please tell them no. There's no problem about getting them into school. You can write that release form, say, I do not consent to these shots. They have to take them into school. One of the big myths is that, well, it's the law, right? I even have teachers say, well, it's the law, but it's the law. They have to have their shots. It's never been a law. It's never been written into law. It's a strong recommendation. And it's been promoted like it's a law. And the principals believe it's a law. The teachers believe it's a law. The politicians believe it's law. They'll even say, oh, it's the law. It's not the law.
Show me.
You take that form, turn it over, sign the release. There you go. Kid gets to go to school. My kids have done it. I know many, many of my parents have done it. So please stop vaccinating. If you don't have any faith in how God gave you an immune system that can fight this stuff off, I would be happy to sit down with you or your whole family and show you how it works. And if that doesn't convince you, then by all means start toxifying again. Pesticides. So this is part of food, but it is one of the worst parts. If you spray a vegetable or a fruit or a food or something and it kills all the insects and all the flies and all the stuff, guess who else it's going to kill? You. It is a highly, severely toxic neurodegenerative compound that kills insects on contact. And it will kill you on contact just because if you got the same dosage body weight wise, you would be dead. So when they spray, and this whole valley has been sprayed to death with DDT and all this kind of stuff, they wonder, well, I wonder why Sacramento's got all these allergies and all this stuff, because it's a valley that doesn't have a lot of wind flow through it, and they've been spraying this stuff, the citrus heights, because they used to grow a lot of citrus there. How it's been spraying all this stuff. They still spray a lot of that stuff on the rice fields. It gets into us. A lot of times you can't do anything about it. Now we'll talk about filtration. You can get air filtrations. You can get it for your house. You can get it for your car. You can get it for a lot of places, and that's how to avoid some of the pesticides and stuff. But suffice to say, if you buy a lot of commercial type of foods, you're going to have pesticides on there. You need to wash that or go to more of an organic form that doesn't have those pesticides. It's pure and simple. Mold. Now this one is so common and so toxic that I'm amazed that there's not more companies that have come out and say, hey, we'll rid your house of mold, especially after a long rainy season like we've had. We have it a little less here than, say, the Bay Area or San Francisco, but mold can get inside your rafters. It can get underneath your floorboards, especially kitchens. When you pull up the floors in kitchens, there's mold all sorts of places under there. So there is companies that will come through and spray, like toxic bleach or something that will kill all the mold. You don't want to be there when they do that, but once that clears, that'll kill a lot of the mold. Some of the spores in mold have been related to asthma and to bronchial type problems. It's been allergic reactions and stuff like that. If you have a lot of reactions in certain places, I recommend you call one of those companies. They'll pull up your carpet. They'll look at areas, especially in your bathrooms, where water can get on the carpets and stuff. Sometimes mold will grow underneath there. Sometimes in your roof or in your ceiling. And it's easy to do. You can go up there with a flashlight, just look at all the corners, anywhere that might be a little wet, or if the rain is leaking into your roof. If there's mold, if you see sort of a slimy stuff on there, that's mold. If it's black mold, that's the worst kind. So take a bottle, I don't use bleach very much in our house, but that's where I would use bleach. Put a mask on and bleach all that mold. Kill that mold, because those spores are coming down and they're going to get into your house and all that kind of stuff. So mold can be very toxic if you let it be, but it's a fairly easy problem to solve. There's companies that do it, even though there's not as many companies as I'd like, but it's also easy to look for. And if you suspect mold, pull up the flooring, pull up the carpet a little bit, look, just make sure there's no mold, or spray, like a bleach or something like that in there that'll really kill that mold.
Bleach doesn't kill mold.
Well, it's supposed to kill mold. So, well, I know the companies that normally kill mold, they use like a bleach type thing. So I don't know exactly what they're using now. I mean, they can use other chemicals that are not as toxic, but bleach is sort of the gold standard that they use. That's what I would use.
We had an
So-
experience that if you want me to tell you later.
Yeah, you can tell me later, yeah.
Okay.
So water is number 4. So water, like I said, with plastic bottles, water can be very toxic. But what I'm talking about, now remember there's 3 entries into your body. 1 is you breathe it in, 2 is you get it on your skin, and 3 is you drink it or you eat it somehow. So let's put it this way. You go into your shower from your city water supply, which contains chlorine, it contains fluoride, it contains some other chemicals. In fact, one of the most sort of scary stuff now is that because so many Americans are taking so many medications, psychotropic drugs, birth control pills, antibiotics, you name it, they're taking a lot of this stuff. And when they take it, their body can't use it all, so they flush it out and they put it in the water supply. That eventually gets into the sewer system, and it is re-put through our water supply, and it comes back through your shower head. And you are getting residues. When they test, in Roseville they did a test, you are getting parts of estrogen. Estrogen is very common because of birth control pills. You're getting antibiotic residues. You're getting all these kind of things. Triclosan is from those antibiotic soaps. So when you use soap or those towels that have the antibiotic stuff, that has triclosan, which is an antibiotic. That's getting in our water supply. So you're getting residues of that. So come back to the beginning of the story. You turn on that shower, you got it nice and hot. It's all steamy in your shower. You're feeling good. You're 10 minutes on there. Some of you may, I got a kink in my neck, so I'm going to stay in here 20, 30 minutes. So you're getting it all 3 ways. You're getting all those toxins in your body 3 ways. You're breathing it in, you're putting it in your mouth, and you're absorbing on your skin. They say that a 10-minute hot shower is like drinking 10 glasses of water. You're getting the same amount of toxins in 10 glasses of tap water. So the simple thing is, now I could go off on fluoride. Fluoride has never been shown to help your teeth health. It's only been shown to cause cancer. So fluoride is an extremely toxic substance which has never been shown to help your teeth.
Why do they give it to us?
Because
No other way to get rid of it.
and I'll give you the very short version, there's lots of books on this. The pharmaceutical companies were using a process to make their drugs, and one of the side effects was they had these fluoride piles, and just tons and tons of fluoride. Now the government said, you got to get rid of that toxic chemical. It's very toxic, and we don't want to see it ending up in our water supply, so you got to build a toxic way to get, or a safe way to get rid of this toxic chemical. The only safe way is to build a humongous hole, have cement that's very thick all the way around and dump it in there, and over time it's supposed to get rid of it, and it won't lynch out into the groundwater and that kind of stuff. Well, they said, that's very expensive. So they started to look at alternative ways to get rid of it, and then they found some village in Switzerland that had no cavities. This whole village had no cavities, no history of cavities. And they said, well, what is it? And one researcher said, well, their natural water supply, this lake, has a lot of fluoride naturally occurring in it. It must be the fluoride, because we know that putting fluoride on the teeth can kill a lot of the bacteria and stuff like that. If it kills bacteria, guess what? Kills us. So they latched onto that and they said, well, you should put it in everyone should have it in their water. Then we'd have no cavities in the United States. So they convinced that instead of having to get rid of all this toxic dump, they convinced municipalities to put it in their water supply and help us stay cavity free. Did it help us stay cavity free? No. It hasn't changed anything. In fact, disease went up when they did that. So this is one of the biggest scams. They still have customers. Roseville still puts it in their water supply. Folsom puts it in their water supply. There's a lot of cities around here that puts it in their water supply. It's not good for you. You don't want to drink this. That's why you should never drink tap water. One of the easiest ways is get yourself a filter. Filter it out. Fluoride, luckily, chlorine and fluoride are fairly easy to filter out. What's very hard to filter out is those drug residues. Very hard. You need a really complex filtration system. The point of service, which is like at your sink, if you have a sink underneath your front sink, those run about $300 to $500 to get the top of the line point of service filtration systems. You can get a whole house filtration system, which is what I recommend, and that filtration system runs anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000, but that filters every drop of water that comes into your house. And there's different varieties. There's a reverse osmosis variety. There's a lot of different varieties, but that's what I recommend. If you're going to shower, if you're going to bathe, and I hope you all do, then you want to filter that water. And otherwise, you are getting toxins in your system. So water is a big source of toxins. Now, obviously, that does not include some of the things that we talked about, which was like bottled water and water that's been kept and that kind of stuff. If you do have a filtration system, like we have a filtration system on our fridge, we have a little, the little doodad that allows water to come through there. You got to change that approximately every 6 months. Otherwise, you're just getting tap water.
Does it work?
Oh yeah, works very well. Yep. So there's carbon-based filtration systems that will take out. So in tap water, you are going to get bacteria and biology in there as well. So getting rid of that is pretty easy. That's carbon-based filtration systems. You can get the Brita filtration systems too. You just pour the tap water into the jug and put the jug in the fridge. That works very well too. You just change the filters though. So let's talk about number 3. We're getting down there. How are we doing for time? Almost. So contents is stuff like the fire retardants that they put on chairs and carpets. It's kind of evolving a little bit. In the 80s, they said, well, we've got these great chemicals that we can spray on everything, and fire doesn't burn very well and all that kind of stuff. Well, the problem was that I'd rather have a fire in my house than breathe that stuff in. So the stuff was incredibly toxic. They had all sorts of problems, headaches and stuff like that. So it's changed over the years, but there's a lot, especially if you buy the cheap stuff, you buy the cheap carpeting, you buy the cheap chairs, you buy the cheap stuff, you are going to get the worst kind of retardants sprayed on there. There are places that don't spray on there, and you can ask them not to spray it, and that's good. Another funny thing about that is sometimes they wrap those chairs, especially the cheaper ones, in plastic, which is toxic, but that'll eventually get out of there. When you're cleaning these things, so remember, it can get in the air, the water, or on your skin. When you're cleaning these things, like with a vacuum and stuff like that, you don't want to be breathing that stuff in. So I recommend that when you're vacuuming, you put on a mask, especially if you have one of those really cheap types of carpets. Because when you're sucking all the dirt and dust and gunk that's in there, you're also sucking the toxic chemicals in there. It's going to come up through the bag, and the air is going to be pushed out the bag, and so it's going to create a cloud. So you don't want to, for those who have small babies at home, that sort of thing, please do not put your baby on the ground while you vacuum right beside. You're creating a dust cloud or a toxic cloud right around your baby. So if you're going to vacuum, get the kids, get the husband, get them all out of or the wife, get them all out of the house, and then vacuum. And let it settle, and then you can come back in. Same as if you fumigated, right? If you fumigated, you wouldn't want to be there watching the guy spray, right? Same is true of that. If you're...
Do they have filters?
What filters?
Filters on the vacuums. They have like HEPA filters on.
They do. Some of the higher end vacuums have better filters. Yeah, absolutely. And that can definitely help. Same is true if you're cleaning your chairs and stuff like that. If you're really, if you have a spill or something and you're rubbing on that kind of material, better to buy the higher end stuff, which doesn't have the toxic chemicals or not nearly as much. Mattresses is another one. The mattresses are getting much better. So the mattress used to be in a flame retardant thing. You can buy it without the flame retardant now. So you sleep on that, it gives you headaches. You're breathing in, your face is right on that. You're breathing in through the mattress. So especially with kids stuff, and the cheaper mattresses have the plastic cover, so that if your kid has an accident, it's like, please don't buy that stuff. I mean, I'd rather you just buy the new mattress or just clean the mattress rather than have them exposed to all that plasticky stuff. Household cleaners. Now this is a huge one. I'm going to try and get through this real fast. The first thing is most commercial grade household cleaners. If you take one thing from my talk, go home and chuck them. They are incredibly toxic to your system. If you use them, wear gloves and a mask. It'll even say on there, if you're using this, you know, Clorox or a drain cleaner or the oven cleaners, that kind of stuff, the worst of the worst, it says, do not use this without a mask and a glove. So what do most people do? And I did it in college when I had to clean my oven. I just sprayed that stuff and just, you know, get it all on my hands and wash. Oh, that hurts, you know. And you know, you don't even think about it, but you're absorbing it in those three ways. You're breathing it in, you're getting it on your skin, you're taking it in your mouth. It's incredibly toxic. So on the labels, there are certain things to avoid. If it says danger, corrosive, poison, if you see the skull and crossbones, don't buy it. There's lots of ways to clean your stuff without toxifying your house. And that residue lasts a long time. So here's the thing, you spray that super toxic chemical and then you turn your oven on and it bakes it and you have all the vapors in there. And then you wipe it all off. You think it's gone? It's still there for a long time. And then you're heating stuff up. The vapors are in there again. You're heating food in there. There's so many better ways to do it. Now, later on, I have the natural choices that you can try. If you have to use that stuff, protect yourself. You know, really, really clean so that you get as much of that vapor out as you possibly can. So a lot of other things will say that just a warning on there. Warning is less toxic than the danger or the, you know, corrosive stuff. It'll say like warning, keep away from children, warning, you know, may have negative effects, or warning, the state of California has deemed this to be cancerous to you. Those are still very, very toxic. You want to avoid those. Third one is if it says caution. Now this may or may not be that toxic. They say caution, don't ingest this. But it may be okay to use, but it'll say caution on it. I always tell you beware of things that say, oh, this is a natural product, or this is an organic product, or this is a eco-friendly product. If they're very vague like that, then it's not very helpful. So just because it's natural doesn't mean it's incredibly toxic. There is lots of toxic. It could be made of poison ivy. It does not good for you, you know. So the things you want to look for are very specific. They say contains organic citrus oils, something that it's organic, but it shows you what's in there. Or the best thing is the next one. It says contains no solvents, no phosphates, no plant, or it's plant-based. Those kind of things are much better for you. They almost certainly are more healthy than some of those harsh chemicals. So we talked about oven cleaners. A natural choice is take water, baking soda, and soap. Soap it down, leave it overnight. The baking soda actually will lynch onto a lot of the grease and stuff like that. And that's actually, you know, you have to use more elbow grease, but it's a much, much safer alternative than using that chemical. Toilet cleaners are extremely toxic. If you're going to use these toilet cleaners, you have to use a mask, because you're putting the stuff, even when you put the powder out, the Clorox stuff, that powder comes up. Here's the thing, if you can smell it, like, for example, you walk into a bathroom and goes, ooh, someone's cleaned this bathroom lately. Guess what you just put into your body? All those toxic chemicals. By the way, anything with fragrances you want to avoid. So we talk about air fresheners here in a little bit, but fragrance is a chemical that is not good for your system, has been shown to be toxic. So if it's got a lot of fragrances in there and the cleaners and stuff to make it smell good, it's not good. I mean, it's pure and simple. So a natural alternative to that is baking soda and soap. So you can buy soap, just regular soap. You can buy the liquid soap, not the antibiotic soap, but just soap, and use that. And just, you know, elbow grease, and the baking soda will take the rings off and all that kind of stuff. It works just as well. I think it works just as well as those harsh cleaners. Air fresheners, so you know, when you have an air freshener in your house or air freshener in your room or one of those little puff things, you want to get a natural, because there's lots of products there that are natural. We buy like it's citrus oil. It's just a spray, but it just has water and citrus oil. That's all it is. And so it has various citrus things, but smells great, lasts a long time, and it's not an aerosol, and it doesn't have these artificial fragrances and all these chemicals in it, which have been shown to be very toxic. So if you want to make your own, which actually for that I don't recommend you make your own because they have such good products out there and they're cheap. So just look around if you have those things. But if you want to make your own baking soda, you can put a little container of baking soda behind your toilet. That works pretty well. It absorbs a lot of the odors. Lemon or citrus, so you can buy little containers of organic lemon juice, and you can just dab that around. It works great. In fact, it works very, very well on surface cleaners. Like you can make your own surface cleaner for a whole lot less than Windex. It works better than Windex, and it smells good with the citrus in there. Or flowers. If you have a flower garden outside, pick those flowers, put them in your bathrooms or whatever it is. They smell good, they last good, they absorb odors. General cleaners, so that's the tops of countertops and stuff. A lot of the commercial grade ones range from mildly toxic all the way to severely toxic. They have a lot of harsh chemicals in them. So I recommend that you don't use them. You can find alternative versions. So the Simple Green is a great alternative. It's more natural. It is mildly toxic, the Simple Green. I will be honest about that. So there's no super clean alternative, but it's certainly better than say Windex or all the Clorox, all these kind of things. Definitely no bleach. Here's the thing. We want to wage this war against germs. Germs are not the enemy, and they never have been. Germs have always been there. Germs are made by God. Germs actually strengthen us in a lot of ways. We need bacteria in our gut to digest foods. So the war on germs was made by the AMA. So rather than try and make your house, and you get these well-meaning moms who spray their baby cribs with Lysol and stuff like that, incredibly toxic. And then what do they do with their baby? Here you go, nice germ-free environment. Why does my baby always have respiratory disease? Why do they have asthma? Bad genetics, darn it. Not bad genetics. Vaccines and toxic chemicals. We want to wage this war on drugs. Guess what? Drugs are not the enemy. If your baby's immune system is strong, guess what it does? Fights off the germs. It's going to be exposed to germs anyway. In our house, we let them play. You want to play with all the germs? Play with the germs. Get used to them. Because then you'll build up natural defenses. Then your body will be stronger as a result. So germs are not the enemy. If you want to clean something, use soap and water. Hot water. Hot water works a lot better than cold water. Elbow grease is better. If you want to make your own moderate, or sorry, I said, I didn't put it on here, but I did. It's under window cleaners. You want to make your own natural thing? Take the spray bottle, which you can buy at any Home Depot. It is plastic, but you're not drinking out of it, luckily. So you take the spray bottle, you use 1/2 cup vinegar, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, put it all in there, fill it up rest with water. It works phenomenally well. Cleans glass better, streak-free than those Windex stuff. And it is natural. You can also use that for the countertops. So once you do the soap and water, if you want to really clean them, you can use that on the countertops. So antibiotic cleaners and wipes, we talked about triclosan, which basically when you wash your hands with that and the soap goes down the drain, it goes into the water system and it causes all sorts of damage to the natural environment. And so they've shown this. They've actually measured it, and triclosan residue is the #1 antibiotic in a lot of stuff because we are so germophobic. We want to use all these like creams and soaps and everything's antibiotic. Oh, this is an antibiotic cream. It's good for us. It's not good. Guess what is also an antibiotic, which kills off bacteria and biotics? Soap. Soap does. You don't need the antibiotic in there. You can use soap or water. Water washes it off. So don't necessarily have to use all that stuff.
Water, right? right?
Tap water is better than any, better than nothing. But use soap, regular soap, works good, kills 90% of the bacteria. Drain cleaners, severely toxic. Avoid if you have drains that clog. I'd recommend getting a plumber or getting one of those snakes. Don't use the chemical drain cleaner things. They are incredibly toxic. Those fumes will be coming up for months. Not good at all. Dishwasher detergent. Now, here's the funny one, because people sometimes will filter the water they drink. They'll feel good about that. They'll do a lot of things, and then they don't filter the water that goes into their dishwasher. And then guess what? Their dishes are all cleaned with dirty water, and they're using dishwasher detergent that's highly toxic, and so they're eating off of dishes that are toxic. I mean, and we're not talking about going to kill you tomorrow. We're talking it's going to kill you over years of doing this. So you can get natural dishwasher detergent. You can buy it at Trader Joe's. You can buy it at a lot of different places. It doesn't contain phosphates. It doesn't contain a lot of the harsh chemicals. It's not that expensive. Buy that instead. I've never found any natural, like something you can make that's as good as that. So use that, get a whole water or whole house filtration system. Then you're getting clean water on your dishes with natural detergent. Pretty simple.
Bring your dishes whenever you go somewhere.
Or just clean the dishwasher or dishes without the dishwasher. Number one. Did anyone guess this? Number one, that was my question of the week. Medications. Medications are number one because we as Americans love our medications. We consume more medications than any other nation on the planet. We consume almost 60% of all the drugs produced in the entire world is consumed here in the United States. We want more drugs. That's the powers that be. It's even worse because it's injected into us or it's eaten and it gets right into our bloodstream. If you're on medications, get off of them. The vast majority, and I'm not saying all medications are bad, but the vast majority of medications you don't need. You want to kill your symptoms, there's natural stuff. You want to feel better, there's natural ways. You look at those the Maximize Living 5 essentials: your diet, exercise, keep your neurologic system healthy, detox your body, keep your mind focused and positive. That's the way to get off drugs. I've helped so many people get off their medications and they were told over and over, no, you can't do it. You can't get off your blood pressure medications. You're going to die. The fear factor is high, but have more faith in your body than in your doctor. Because if you're not, you're putting those toxins right into your system. And guess what? A lot of these things that are FDA approved, almost 70% of the drugs that are FDA approved are taken off the market within 1 year. 70%.
That was scary. Really, really scary.
Yep. A lot of those medications, for example, Prozac's under the gun right now because there's more suicides, 12 times more suicides on Prozac than the next antidepressant. And not just the regular population, it's the next antidepressant. They know Prozac's been killing people for the longest time, making them angry, aggressive thoughts. All the kids on Columbine were on Prozac, the kid at Virginia Tech. There's one of those episodes every week in the United States, and it's because of Prozac. They know this. They won't take it off the market because it's, follow the money. So obviously very, very toxic to your system. I could go over all these kind of things, but suffice to say, if you're on anything, you should be looking to try and get off that. I'm not saying just go cold turkey. I can help you with that, but you want to get off these things. Believe me, you can do it. It can be done. So getting the toxins out of your body, how are we doing? Pretty close. Getting the toxins out of your body. So there's 3 ways to do that. Now, bear in mind that your body has a detox system within it. You have kidney, you have liver, you have all sorts of things that help detox your body. So in order to make sure your body runs right, you want to make sure that detox system is working. So that's the first thing. You can do a cleanse. That's one of the easy ways to do it is a cleanse. There's a lot of different cleanses. I do some of these different cleanses with different people, but the most helpful cleanse is what's called a cellular cleanse. That's the detox system we have here. You take it out of your intracellular space, out of your fat cells where that's the most common place where those toxins lodge. you get it into your bloodstream, and then the second part is it gets it from the bloodstream out of your body. So that's where the activated charcoal comes in. So you have these basically these natural herbs and things that are taken from natural sources that when you take them in, they'll lynch or leach those toxins out of those cells, out of the fat cells, into your bloodstream. And then the second part is taking it out of your body. It takes about 30 days. In some cases, if people that have been on a lot of medications or have been very toxic, we'll have them on indefinitely to keep detoxifying their body. So a cleanse is pretty easy. The second type of cleanse is what's called a body cleanse. So a body cleanse is not as thorough as a cellular cleanse, but it'll get all the toxins out of the bloodstream, out of your intramuscular space, that sort of thing. Usually takes about 10 days. I again use a product that helps pull it out of your body. Definitely not as thorough, but it definitely works. So if you're not sure about a cellular cleanse, start with a body cleanse and then move into a cellular cleanse.
Watch your energy go through the roof.
And watch your energy go up, yeah. The other thing is there's all sorts of cleanses out there, like liver cleanses and gallbladder cleanses and kidney cleanses and all this kind of stuff. Be real wary of that stuff because it's marketed a certain way as if it does a certain way. But if you take it in, it's going to cleanse wherever it goes. There's no such thing as a true organ cleanse, but there is lots of very specified herbs that will work on one organ more than another. So I can help you if you have that. For example, I help a lot of people with gallstones. We do a gallstone cleanse or a gall bladder cleanse. So that's very effective as well. So that's cleanses. You do them, if you're healthy, you do them 1 to 2 times per year for the best results for 30 days at a time. You eat normally while you do that. It's not a fast, but eat lots of dark green leafy vegetables. Organic lemon juice is one of the best cleaners you can have. If you want a good cleansing drink, water with a few squirts of lemon juice in there. Take that in, that'll latch onto a lot of the stuff in your gut and in your body. So lemon juice, in fact, you guys were going to do the lemon cleanse or the lemonade diet. That is a cleanse that uses primarily lemons, organic maple syrup, and cayenne pepper and water to flush out that stuff in your body. So number 2 on that, getting toxins out of your body, very important, mild aerobic exercise. Done at a low intensity, but to get the sweat out. You sweat out toxins the same way you take them in. You breathe them out, you get them out, or you sweat them out. So they can come out through your skin, they can come out through your air, or they can come out by excretion. So when you sweat, you push those toxins out through your pores. In fact, when you're doing a cleanse, you'll actually feel grimy, like dirty, like almost greasy, because that's pulling out a lot of the fat-soluble toxins in your body. So light aerobic exercise. Whenever you're doing a cleanse, you do light aerobic exercise on a regular basis. Even if you're not doing a cleanse, light aerobic exercise is very important to detox your body on a regular basis.
What do you consider that? How long?
That's going to vary from person to person depending on how fit you are, but 20 minutes is a general rule. Light 20-minute workout. Like it could be a walk, could be a run, could be a bike, depends on how fit you are. But if you're doing it, you're not being able to talk normally. When you're walking, you're not just talking like I'm talking. You're talking and you're not able to complete full sentences because that's what you want to achieve. You're not like it's not like you can't do it, but you're clearly working and you're sweating and you're taking out those toxins.
You call that mild.
That's mild, absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you do a neural and a body cleanse at the same time?
I wouldn't recommend it.
Too hard on your body?
No, it's just they do very similar things. The cellular cleanse goes deeper though. So I'd rather save your money and just do a cellular cleanse. So last thing, get adjusted to keep your body functioning well. Obviously, the chiropractic component has a huge component on your body because if your these toxins affect your neurologic system. So if there's already problems with your neurologic system, your body's not working, it makes it even worse for having toxins in there. Having your neurologic system work, like for example, those nerves that go to your kidneys, your liver, if you're not full power there, then you're not detoxing full power. So I've seen it a number of times when we start opening up those nerves and allowing that brain to get full power out to their liver, full power out to their kidneys, full power out to their bowels, guess what their body does automatically? Heal and detox. It detoxes itself. It's wanted to do it all along, it just couldn't because there was blockages there. So I always put that as a major thing. If you're going to detox, make sure you're getting adjusted regularly to keep that power on and full. That allows your body to handle it. Plus, if you're detoxing, your body is toxic. When you're pulling all those toxins into your bloodstream, your body's toxic. You need your body to be at full power so that it can handle that. And there is times when you feel a little run down when you're doing a detox, especially if you're very toxic. I know when I do my cellular cleanse, I do it twice a year. I always, for the first week or two, I always feel like I'm kind of on the edge of getting sick. And I know I'm not getting sick. I know it's that I'm pulling all this junk in my body. And I live pretty clean. I don't live super clean, but I live pretty clean. And I want to get that stuff out of my body. So doing that will really keep that power on and full and allow your body to detox fully. Cool. Thank you all for being here. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you go home and throw out all those dangerous chemicals. If you have other questions, I'll remain here for a little bit. God bless you all. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next time.